Hey everybody, I'm Babs and welcome back to White Knowledge is Power, Understanding Racism in America and Why White People Should Know Black History. Today I want to talk about a case that is absolutely heartbreaking, and with the way that this country is going, it's easy to see how history could repeat itself. On November 2nd, 1920, in Ocoee, Florida, there was a race massacre on Election Day. A group of Black individuals from the community wanted to exercise their right to vote. At the time, it was fully legal for everyone to vote. Unfortunately, in Ocoee, the Ku Klux Klan and other angry white supremacists decided to thwart any attempt for the Blacks to vote in that community. They had the Ku Klux Klan parading around the town the day before with megaphones saying not a single Negro will be permitted to vote, and if they dared to do so, there would be dire consequences. On the day of the election, they had white supremacist people camped out at the polling places. When Black people showed up to cast their ballots, they were not only intimidated and threatened against, but their names were mysteriously not on the list, or they hadn't paid their poll taxes. Well, one man, Mose Norman, decided he was not going to let this sit well with him, and he wanted to cast his ballot. So he drove to Orlando to get a judge to pass a ruling on this, and that man's name was Judge Cheney. Judge Cheney said, you need to go back, write down who was prevented from voting and who was the preventers, so that they could bring a lawsuit for this violation of their rights. As you can predict, that did not go over well with the white people of Ocoee, Florida, or the Ku Klux Klan. So what did they do? They decided to massacre the Black citizens that lived in that town. Mose, when he was being chased after these terrible people trying to kill him for just wanting to vote and use his God-given right as an American to cast a ballot, he ran to someone's house, and that man's name was Julius July Perry, and he was kind of like a grandfather to a lot of the local community there, and so he took refuge there. He did end up being able to hide out and escape, but unfortunately, July, although he tried to bar his home from the white supremacists from entering, they were able to break in. He did get to kill two of them as they entered his home and broke in, but they did end up capturing him, killing him, and they threw his body up onto a telephone pole as a warning for anyone else trying to vote as a Black person in that county. And the killing of July Perry was only the beginning. Over the next couple of days, they burned down the Black community's homes, churches, businesses. They ran them out of the town. All because they were exercising their American right to vote. The next year, in 1921, the NAACP and other civil rights organizations called on the House Election Committee of the U.S. Congress to investigate the massacre and the Black voter suppression in Florida, but it declined. It failed to act. And it wasn't until June of 2019 that a historical marker was placed in Heritage Square outside of the Orange County Regional History Center down in Florida to commemorate what happened. It's very scary what's happening in today's political world. Gerrymandering, redrawing of maps, voter suppression. I just heard about the bill, I believe in Texas, please correct me if I'm wrong, that said the governor can throw out certain electoral college votes. The electoral college in general is a whole other topic of discussion that I will get to on this channel. But voter suppression and intimidation is so dangerous. Not only does it lead to killing of complete communities and ousting them from their homes, but it doesn't reflect the true voice of the nation. If our communities can't vote, nothing will ever be reflective of what the people really want. The database of the account of how many people were killed during this massacre is so unknown that the range is saying that it was from 6 to over 30 Black people were killed the night of the Ocoee Election Day Massacre, because no one bothered to actually write down how many Black people died. They didn't care. These are people. These are Americans. For those who say they're patriotic, Americans being killed for trying to exercise their rights. And you want to argue about Second Amendment rights? Those Second Amendment rights were used to intimidate others from exercising their other amendment rights. Where's the justice and the American patriotism in that? It's a good question. The American people, regardless of color, must be able to have their voices heard. Racism is still a very, very strong and systemic part of American society. Whether you want to see it or not, it exists. Just because you don't believe in something doesn't make it not true. I can say I don't believe the sky is blue, and I can believe that with all my heart, but the sky is blue. So that's the basic history of the Ocoee Election Day Massacre. An entire community of Black people eradicated, forced to flee from their homes or killed, all because of white hate. That's what it is, white hate and white supremacy. We have to undo this. White people created this. We must dismantle it. I hope you learned something from this video, and please like, subscribe, share, start a conversation with your friends. Did you hear about this? Did you know about this? Let's get talking. Let's make meaningful change. And most importantly, let's end racism together.